Hey friends, it's Carol, Saltbox Stitcher, back for video. Oh gosh, now my husband told me, and I 44. He just hollered it from the other room. Video number 44. Samplers, mini quilts, mini like M-I-N-I, and wool. So that's pretty much what I'm going to talk about. How are you? It's Saturday, the 24th of April, and it's 11:17. Still have my little April wordplay up. I started May, but not enough to even bring it to show you. So I'm hoping to get that done this next week. Let's talk samplers and stitching. No, first I'm going to show you my framed pieces. Now, it's always a dilemma for me. Do I put them on Instagram and then talk about them in the video after? Do I wait and show them in the video and then put them on Instagram, which I usually forget? Instagram's a nice way, though, to kind of, I don't know, keep a record, I guess, of things that you've worked on and things you haven't worked on. My really good friend, Susan Aki, who is Yard Girl 60. If you don't follow her and you're a quilter, you're missing out, because she's fabulous on Instagram. And she has done so many years of Instagram that her daughter, I think for a gift, was able to take the pictures from her Instagram and put them into books. So she has a book for, say, 2016, 2017, 2018, etc., because she posts a lot. And she's a very good friend. We've worked together. We've known each other for probably more than 20 years. And she's a fabulous quilter, and she also has out quilt books. So check out Yard Girl. Anyway, all that to say, I first want to show you some framed pieces that came back from Total Framing last week. I had sent these right after Christmas. So it took a good 3.5, 4 months, but definitely worth the wait. They do a fabulous job. And it's expensive to get framing, custom framing done, no matter where you go. And to get a good job where it's laced or pinned and it's, perfectly balanced as far as the frame to your border and all that kind of thing. And you can do it long distance with them via text, because they'll send you options. So I highly recommend Total Framing, but I, be willing to wait, because they're just swamped and it's just the way it is. So anyway, so I'm going to start by showing you, you know what? I'm going to do something else first. Change of plans. I actually have notes today. I never have notes. I just get on here and ramble. Can you tell? But first I want to show you something. Let's see where I put it. Here it is. In my intro, there is a stitched piece that I did years ago. In fact, originally this was a class. Obviously we didn't do the whole thing. From the Liberty Gathering, and it was the R&R gals, which are also the Dying to Stitch gals. And this is in my opening video. There's a shot of it from the wall. It says, "Oh, for a closer walk with God, a calm and heavenly frame, a light to shine upon the road that leads me to the Lamb." It's Elizabeth Pratt, 1840. I believe the year is in it. But anyway, a lot of people have asked about it, and I always said, call Dying to Stitch, call Dying to Stitch. Well, recently Anne let me know that she has recently reprinted and restocked this chart. So if you are interested in Elizabeth Pratt, call Dying to Stitch. And on Instagram, they're Dye Princess, D-Y-E Princess, and Dye Pot Queen. That's the two gals that own both R&R and Dying to Stitch. And we're gonna attempt to put some things in the description box. So a couple links, and so we will. When I say we, I mean my husband. So Michael tried to put the phone number for Dying to Stitch. So if you're interested in that, you can just go right to order that chart. They have a lot of other wonderful reproduction charts, but I'm not sure what they're in stock on. So the fact that I had that in my video, I had a lot of questions, so I thought I would cover that first. The next thing I wanted to show you, my 3 framed pieces that I babbled on about already. And this is Mary Cook. This is charted by Tanya of the Scarlet House. I have a lot of pieces that I have not had framed, and so I'm not sure exactly when I stitched this. I want to say 2019, but it could have been 2020. But it's Mary Cook, 1795, has an Adam and Eve. They're a little ghosty, and they have belly buttons, which they did not have belly buttons. This little girl's wrong. Think about it. Anyway, there's no over one, a lot of motifs. I think the picture is kind of deceiving, but it's a great, and it's really a pretty fast stitch. Has an easy border. I guess those are strawberries. If you haven't watched Susan Stanley's recent video, you should, because she talks a lot about, well, first of all, she talks about the color red, which, let's face it, most of us love, both in quilting and in samplers. And then she also talks about strawberries and their significance, and, you know, just, she's very interesting to listen to. She has book recommendations if you're interested in historic things. And I'm a textiles and clothing major in college. Now, I graduated almost 50 years ago. So, hello, I've really forgotten more than I ever learned. But it's still, when I listen to her speak and she talks about historical things and, you know, some of the dyeing process and all that, it just brings back some of my love of textiles. And I am totally a natural fiber person. I love wool, which I'm going to talk about later. I love silk. I love linen. I love cotton. When I used to sew my own clothes, whatever. Back in the day, I would rarely use anything that was a man-made fiber, because natural fibers are just it for me. Okay, the next thing, I guess I put it all the way back here. Hold, please. The next one that I got back from Total Framing, and this is Esther Edison. I love this kind of a frame with this little beaded edge on the frame. This is one of those samplers that I absolutely love, but it wasn't always the most fun to stitch. Carol Sims, I think, was one of the people that she was not happy. I don't think she said she was even going to frame hers once it was done, but she didn't like something about it. I shouldn't have even said that. I just remember there were certain people that loved it and other people that were like, meh. I love the design. It's by Chessie and me. It's Esther Edison. The date is, I think, 1832. There is over one. Here's some over one here. There's over one over here, right there. There's a lot of over one in the verse and her age. There's a little bit of specialty stitches there with the chain stitch for the serpent, another ghost Adam and Eve. I put it away for a couple times. First of all, it was a stitch along through Country Sampler. And in the 3 parts that we got, or 3 or 4 parts, I think the first part was the border. I did that, was, you know, Johnny on the spot getting that finished. I think the second part was the top half, then the third part, and then the fourth, I think. I don't remember exactly, but you got them periodically. You didn't get it all at once. And once I got to about here, for some reason, I got interested in other things. But I always wanted to go back and finish it. But it's a pretty stitch heavy, detailed, and now that it's framed, I am so happy I finished it. I just love it. Love it, love it, love it. It's just an interesting sampler. It's got these, I guess those are fish. I don't know. Which, by the way, I had shown a Elizabeth, what was the name of that? Elizabeth Clark. I think it's a Lottie dot chart, and I showed it a couple videos ago. And in it, there was a creature at the top of a tree, and I said, "What is this?" And so I had a lot of people comment. Some people, thought it was some sort of a bird. Some people thought it was other kind of animal. But I did have a couple people. Tinka is one of them, and she is Victorian Rose Needle Arts. Maybe we'll link that too, because she has a wonderful shop, and she lives literally 2 hours down the road from me. So I get things like tomorrow if I order today. But anyway, she said it's a symbol of a pelican, and he has his beak down, and he's piercing his breast to feed his young. And it's symbolic of Christ's sacrifice for the church, which I thought was so interesting. And I had a couple other people that said it's common on Dutch samplers. So anyway, for all of you that were curious what that, some people thought it was a raccoon, some people thought it was some other kind of bird, like an osprey or something. So that's what it was. Anyway, my third piece I had framed is huge. I'm going to have my husband insert a picture here. So it's too big for me to actually show on the video in just one where you can see the whole thing. It's the biggest sampler I have. Let's see if I don't hit something. I can almost show the whole thing. It was done on 36 count. It's Mary Bars by Stacy Nash. It was done on 36 count. So if you did it on 40 or 46, it would be smaller. This is the one that used 6.5 or so skeins of Schneckly. And actually, Total Framing showed this on their Instagram post. I was so excited to see it. And she described this beautiful frame. It's a 2-part thing with, I think they're called fillets. And you can see it has like a floral. Just love it. And when they sent me the, framing options, I said, "Oh, definitely this one." She said, "Oh, good," because that was her favorite too. It's Terry and Sherry from Total Framing. So, I know Nicole's Needlework has finished this. A couple other people are working on it. This one I think came out in market of maybe 2019. And I think the sample that Stacy Nash did, they didn't have enough linen, so they literally pieced a second part of linen to finish the sampler, which I thought was so interesting. And I think Kitten Stitcher was actually going to do that when she did hers. I don't know if she's done that or finished hers yet. Teresa, we need a video from you. We need to see if you're still around. We know you are because you're shipping out packages every day. This one had quite a bit of over one. In fact, when I sent these and the gals from Total Framing said, "Oh, we got your pieces," she said, "Oh, you must really like over one." I'm like, no, I'm not a fan. The reason I'm not a fan of over one is because for me, when I stitch in hand, when I do over one, I have to use a hoop. I use a small hoop, but anyway, it's just more restrictive for me. So she's my favorite. I have no idea. I thought when I sent these off that Esther Edison would be my favorite. You're not supposed to have favorites. Did you hear me? You're not supposed to have favorites. I thought Esther Edison would be it, but this Mary Bars is just fabulous. I hear water running. Oh well. Okay, so then I have this huge basket of stuff to talk about. So I shall do that. So what have I been stitching on in the last 2 weeks? Let me get everything out so I can show you. First thing, I did have a finish. I was almost finished with this on my last video. This is, if you want to say it in the American, it's Cece Smit, but the way it's pronounced is Keisha Smit. It is a Dutch name. Somebody even said that when IE is added to a name, it means like little, you know, like if you'd say Mikey instead of Mike, you would think of that as being a child. So I guess that's what the IE kind of is. Anyway, I finished this. It was really, I thought it was going to be a quick stitch. It wasn't as quick as I thought. But the one thing I did want to say about this, on the pattern picture, these numbers are in red. And I think there's only one red. But the charts them to be done in green. So if you look at my video from last time, I had done them in green. And then I decided I didn't want to do that. So I took those out and I restitched it in red. And then I finished the wreath and the date and whatever I didn't have done from last time. This is by the Scarlet House. I first received it at summer school 2019. And it's done on 40 count Heartland by Picture This Plus. So let's see, where am I going to put this stuff? That's the first thing. And then I think I showed, well, I know I showed because I ranted on and on about how to stitch this, and sometimes I watch my videos twice. Once right after it uploads to see if I've made any glaring errors, because I don't watch it while it's uploading. My husband does all that. So the first time I see it is after you all see it. Sometimes way after you all see it. And then I watch it some in the few days before I do a video again. And sometimes I fast forward through it, but I just want to see what I talked about. Like, for example, Cece, Keisha, I was not sure if I had finished that. I could have looked at my calendar, but I thought, did I show that finished? And so I watched my video so that I could see that, no, it wasn't finished, so I needed to show it as a finish. Anyway, all that to say, I was working on this piece, Grand Old Flag by Samplers Not Forgotten. Now, I know you look at that and you think, well, that's a big red house. It's a big red house. This is where I am. I should have had a hard hat on today because I've been doing a lot of home building. And this all has another color that goes in between the bricks. But I'm just trying to get to the top of the house, and then I can fill in with the colors. So this is done on tin roof, 36 count. I don't have my floss right here, but it's with the country sampler conversion. That's that. And there again, talking about building homes, I picked this up mainly because I got the 3 new samplers, and I'll show you those in a minute with my haul. But I got the 3 new samplers from the Scarlet House, Hannah Tingy, 1823. So I thought, well, you know, before I start one of those, I should probably finish one of the ones that's a whip. So I pulled this one out, and I've been building the house. Now I'm filling in the bricks. I finished one of the reindeer, finished the tree next to the house, started on the other tree, finished this flower here, and did a little bit of the over one. Still have quite a bit left to do on that, but I'm glad I had gotten back to it. To me, it's kind of Christmassy. I guess because it has reindeer and it's got a lot of red and green. Hannah Tingy, 1823 by the Scarlet House. And on this one, I'm using the called for NPIs. This is, you know, just the colors, the red and green and gold make you think of Christmas too, because it's more of an evergreen. So anyway, I worked on that one. I'm kind of bound and determined to finish my ES spot sampler. This I don't know if you would ever find again. I put out a call for it and somebody, I bought it from someone. ES spot sampler, and this is by Of Female Worth. And I did a little bit more on this up in this area. But it's pretty stitch heavy. I still have to do a lot on the border, even though it's small. And this I'm doing on Light Exemplar by Lakeside, 36 count. And the colors are beautiful. This orange and pinks and blue, really pretty. So I need to get back to that. And then Christy of Crosshatch Quilts had shown her her progress on Anne Ufendel. And I had a little bit done on it, but I decided to get it out. And I got the border, the base of the border all the way around finished. And this is on, I think this is Vintage Exemplar. But the Anne Ufendel is this by Hands Across the Sea. And Nicole's Needlework had a new video out. She showed she had pulled hers out to work on it too. And you know, I see things like this, which is all specialty and satin stitches, and you know, and I think to myself, well, that's kind of scary. But I've done embroidery. I don't know, and this is just linen. I don't know why it seems scary, because the directions are wonderful as far as you know, how to do the close-up detail of it. So that'll be fun, and that's something that's kind of probably going to be an ongoing project for a while. I would also love to stitch Isabella. I am using the Soie d'Alger for this. This is a little book that I bought from Primitive Stitcher. She's gone to a couple retreats that I've gone to, and she sells these little books, and they're full of the floss away bags, and then you can just, so it makes a little booklet of your fun little stuff. Suzette is her name. Primitive Stitcher. I think she sells them on Facebook, but I'm not 100% sure. She hasn't done a video for a while, so she's another one we're wanting to see how she's doing. And then, since this is 24 hours of cross stitch weekend, which I haven't quilted very much this week on customer quilts, so I'm kind of behind, and it makes my head feel kind of guilty, but I still want to do 24 hours. I think I stitched for about 5 or 6 hours because I did some bindings first, but about 5 or 6 hours last night. So I've got a lot to make up. But anyway, last night I thought, you know what? I don't have a red sampler going. And I have a couple ones. I have Harriet Salt. I have this one. This is Louisa Coulimore by Hands Across the Sea. I love these. And so I had it kitted and I thought, I'm going to start that. So I started it on a piece of 40 count hog bristle by Fox and Rabbit. It's like a tan fabric that has kind of grayish overtone modeling. It's kind of a weird way to describe it because tans you normally think would be kind of brownish, but it's kind of grayish. So I've done A through K. I'd like to get at least this done. I'd like to get the whole big alphabet done this weekend. And then I am ready to start on this. I don't mind doing alphabets. I think they're kind of fun. And I have a hank of Soie d'Alger. And this particular color is 2925. I think that's the color. The other's the dye lot, I think. 2925. Actually, I have 2 hanks of it, but it won't take all of that. So that's in my Hands Across the Sea bag. A friend of mine makes these wonderful bags, and sells them. She's part of our stitching group that meets on Thursdays, although I didn't go this week. And let's see, then I'm going to show you a couple things that I'd like to get back to. You know, I started stitching the red last night, and I thought, you know, I need to get back to my Anne Grimshaw. This is 36 count pecan butter. I'll show you the pattern in a second. And this is by the Scarlet Letter, Anne Grimshaw, 1818. If you've ordered anything from Kitten Stitcher, she has a sticker occasionally because she finished hers. And I know I started it in 2018 because I thought, oh, 1818 to 2018, 200 years, and it's going to take me that long to finish it. Anyway, I really would like to get back to that. One color is kind of nice. I'm using Gloriana Antique Black. Not sure why one of them's in a bag, but it is. So I'm stitching from that first. I've had a lot of people ask about, you know, how I store my threads, all of that kind of information. I just store them on a ring. I store them in alphabetical order by company. So I think I have 4 big rings of Weeks. I have 3 or 4 rings of Gentle Arts. My silks I have on a ring. If they come on a card hanging, I leave them on the card. If they come like, you know, like DMC, where they're in a skein, I put those in floss away bags. So that's my system. This is another one I'd like to get back to. Speaking of Scarlet House, this is Jane Cowie, 1850. This is another one I'm using, NPI's, which is Needlepoint Incorporated Silks. This is what I'm talking about when they come like this on a skein. And this is where I am on Jane. I have the outline of the border. This has quite a bit of over 1, but it's not a huge sampler, but it's really colorful. Don't you love how I leave a needle in there? I guess I have really hopes of getting back to it quickly. But, you know, I've never had a problem with like a needle rusting, with the exception of something that maybe, 20 years I left a needle in a piece of embroidery or something. But obviously I'm here ready to do all that over one. So I'm going to try to do it little by little, like I'm doing on Hannah Tingy. Just because when you leave it till the end, it's really easy to just put it away and say, well, I'll get back to that over one. Sort of like my Charlotte Clayton, which I have done a little bit more of the over one. I didn't bring it out, but yeah, pretty soon I'll finish that one. And I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the things I got in the mail. I've mentioned these already. These are the new Scarlet House. This is Entwined Hearts. I had a piece of red pear, so I went ahead and put that with it, but I haven't kitted the threads. They're Belsois silks, and I think I have them all. I recognize, so I won't put it till I'm ready to actually stitch that. Entwined Hearts, Scarlet House. She just released these, so they're just getting to their... You know what? Oh, here it is. Nope. I have something I didn't grab. Oh, well. This is the next one that she released, the Floral Motif Sampler. Oh, I'm dying to start this. This I'm going to do on Prairie Grass, which is what it calls for, by Seraphim, and I already have the threads kitted. How beautiful are they? Wonderful. And they are, it calls for cottons, overdyed cottons. So that is on a ring, ready to go. So that'll be fun. This is the third one she just released, Roses for Ruby, Scarlet House. Beautiful, love that basket of flowers, just gorgeous. I don't have this kitted, but this also calls for silks, and it calls for 36 count hog bristle, which is what I'm doing that red sampler on, 40 count. So on 36 count, it's like 10 by 10. So I have plenty left over from that red Louisa Coulamore that I can use for this. Then I just got this one yesterday. This is the new Brenda Gervais Caroline Amelia trowel. And this one I'm using, I thought it was cute. Look at these. These are, what do they call that? Anyway, I'll think of it in a minute. I had made this a long time ago at a class, and it's supposed to look like it's all beat up. There's a name for it. It's like it's not clay. It's like ceramic. It's kind of dusty. I told you I don't dust. Anyway, I thought it was interesting when I saw the back of this pattern that it had those in there. Cute. But anyway, Caroline Amelia trowel, and I have it kitted with the antique lace and the overdyes. Sorry, 40 count antique lace and the overdyes. So that is ready to go. And then the wonderful Dying to Stitch kitted this for me. This is the Stacy Nash pattern. This isn't huge, but how could you resist that with that red house? It's just gorgeous. And I'm doing it on Winter Brew with the called for, which are DMC. So that is ready to go. I got this. Dutch Sampler by Kathy Barrick. Kitten Stitcher had the fabric, which is, I think it's called Eureka. Nope, it's called Havana. Some 36 count Havana. And the NPIs, which I had most of them. I had to order a couple. I don't think I got the threads from her. I don't know if she carries NPIs. But anyway, it's ready to go. And if you watch Susan Stanley, Floss Tube, Standley, she shows her start on this. It's very, very cool. And then this came out a little while ago, but I just recently got, this is Sarah Jackson by the Scarlet House. This is the Ode to Scarlet House. But I just recently got the fabric. I think this is the one that's Eureka. No, Eucalyptus. I thought I got some Eureka. Maybe I didn't. It actually calls for Dolphin, but Kitten Stitcher had the Eucalyptus by Fox and Rabbit. So this is way more than I'll need, but I'll add the rest to my stash, and these are the colors for that. They should show up really nice on that. And then I got another thing. This is a bag I got years and years and years ago from Dying to Stitch. It was a set. It's Blackbird fabric, and I love it. I use it quite a bit. So recently I saw that Stitch Folk, her name is Barry, Stitch Folk, you can get to it from her Instagram. So either this is a little dirtier, but this is the same fabric. And I love these little needle books, especially if you're doing a sampler and you have a lot of different thread colors and thread changes. And you know, you do 3 stitches, but you still have a whole length of silk. So if I just kind of wind them up and put them there. And then when I get to the next flower and I need to do 3 more stitches, I just take from that. So then you can close it up and put it with your project. And so I ordered a couple of these, but this was the one that I really wanted to show because it's that same Blackbird fabric. So that's fun. And I think that was all of those. So now I want to talk about wool. And I want to talk about exciting. I'm excited about this. Some of you may recognize the name Maggie Bonanomi. She has even done some cross-stitch designs under the Blackbird label. And years and years ago, I took a class from her. Now, I wish I had this framed. I think for a while I was going to make it into a pillow, and then I thought, no, I think instead I'm going to just have it framed. But she taught a class, and this was some of the first wool that I ever did. I love her way of stitching. She doesn't do blanket stitch, and yes, it's off center a little bit, but I don't care. She gave us a pattern. Oops, this has a big thread on it. Can you imagine? She gave us a big pattern, and that's kind of a gauzy banner that goes through that. And she gave us a pattern that we could copy her handwriting. Liberty and Union, now and forever, one and inseparable by Webster is a quote. 1830. It's just done on like a heavy, it's not muslin, it's heavier than muslin, but it's a woven fabric. So she was a lovely lady. I really enjoyed the class. I finished it almost right away, so it's just been hanging for quite a while, waiting to be finished. But Maggie's way of stitching is to just do, let me see if I can show it a little bit closer, to just do a whip stitch. So you're not blanket stitching, you know, you're making a template with freezer paper, and there's no gluing, there's no heat and bond light, there's none of that. You just pin. Now sometimes you can use a little touch of glue for placement. But anyway, this was the first thing I did that was Maggie's Wool. I'm embarrassed to say I've collected more than I've finished. And this is, I'll show you a couple things that I have. This is a kit. Now her kits come from Blackberry Primitives. We're going to put that in the box, blackberryprimitives.com. This is flowers in a pumpkin shell. And I have ordered some of these kits from, everything is labeled. Let's see, Blackberry Primitives. Everything's labeled with the color. This is another one. This is Flowers on the Hill. If you go to Blackberry Primitives, now a lot of them are just patterns on the website, but there are some things that she has kitted. There's another Maggie kit that I want to do. Flowers on the Hill. I love that her patterns are all handwritten. It's just takes you back to a time when, you know, everything was like that. You know, having beautiful handwriting was really something to be proud of. The older you get, your handwriting, mine isn't as pretty as it used to be, but, you know, I used to practice my letters, you know, my penmanship. I'm sure they still teach cursive. My daughter says they do, but surprisingly, kids just, you know, there's kind of a middle ground of cursive printing that people do nowadays that's not the same. This is another one that I'm working on. This is called the Strawberry Thief, and I'll show you my progress in just a second. Another Maggie kit from Blackberry Primitives. Some of this is stitched, a lot of it's just pinned, but that's what I'm working on. I don't have the bird on there yet, or I do, but I don't have his beak. You can see where I've done some on the stems. This flower, I've done that flower. It's very easy. It's almost like cross stitching. So if you haven't tried wool, you need to try wool applique. So I want to tell you about something that I just signed up for and I'm so excited about. This is called the 4 Seasons. This is season 1 that's come out. It's called Spring is Sprung. This is kitted, and you can sign up for this. It's 4 different packets, and it's $57 per packet. You sign up through PayPal. You only pay 4 different times. You don't pay for it all at once. This is the first one I just got. Uh-oh. Sorry. This is the first one that I just got. I'm really excited to start this. Spring has sprung. And I'm going to include a picture here of all 4 seasons. So there'll be spring, summer, fall, and winter here. And also, to keep you motivated, there's going to be a group on Facebook. And you have to, not apply, but you have to join the group. But I want to show you, and it's called Butternut Days, Stitching with Maggie, Wool Appliqué with Maggie Bonanomi. So we're going to put a link to that too. So join me. Be exciting. But here's how your wool comes from Blackberry Primitives. So, for example, on the back, Maggie calls for terracotta right here. Oops, terracotta, that you need a piece 2 inches by 4 inches. So right here on the front, it's labeled terracotta, and it's actually probably more like 3 inches by 5 inches. So you get generous amounts. You simply trace your freezer paper over the pattern, and then freezer paper has a paper side and it has a waxy side. You iron the waxy side down to your wool, cut it out, and applique it on. It's that easy. And they're so cool. So I hope y'all will join me. I'm going to start this one very soon. Is that just not so fun? Look at those beautiful colors of wool. Look at this one, Sea Breeze. Oops. It's just gorgeous. So I'm excited. So make sure you sign up. Go to blackberryprimitives.com. Sign up for the 4 seasons. You'll get your, and do that before the 30th of April. You'll get your first one. And then join the Facebook group, which I am going to show you from my phone. Super quick. Oops. Butternut Days Stitching Wool Projects by Maggie. Blackberry Primitives. And there's a picture of all 4 seasons. Butternut Days Stitching Wool Projects by Maggie. Julie is the administrator of that, and she does a great job. She's an administrator of a couple different, I think her name is, I pronounced it wrong last time. Cursive, maybe? Hopefully, Julie, I said it right. But anyway, this is specifically the one this Facebook group is going to be. And everybody will be posting. I'm not a big Facebook girl. I originally got on Facebook for friends from high school. And if you send me a friend request, I probably will ignore it because I just really don't do Facebook very much. I'm not on there as Saltbox Stitcher. I'm on there as my full name, including my maiden name, so that I could find people from high school. But I don't think they really want to be friends with me. But I am on Facebook for groups because I think it's fun. It's more private because these groups are private. So you don't feel like you're putting yourself out there for the world to steal. So anyway, the 4 seasons, blackberryprimitives.com, and then order the kit. Sign up to get the full 4 seasons, and then join the Facebook group. Okay? Okay. So I wanted to show you a few other wool things that I've done. I don't have a huge repertoire, but some. This is another thing I'm working on. This flag penny rug. This is where I am. This is a Blackbird book, Summer Weekend, which is really a quilt book, but Blackbird has rug hooking, embroidery. They play all the sports. And I'm about there. I'm like the high school athlete that decides, okay, I'm going to play football, and then I'm going to play soccer, and then I'm going to play basketball, and then I'm going to play baseball. And if I have time, I'm going to do track. That's where I am. Quilting, a little bit of rug hooking, wool applique, stitching. I'm playing all the sports. Not knitting. Not knitting. It's like not basketball. Not tall enough for basketball. But anyway, this is a piece I'm working on. And as soon as I get that a little further, I will show you. I didn't do this, but this is a great pin cushion that I have that I just love. And it actually has braided wool around it with the pineapple and the strawberries. I guess they're strawberries. I have this one. I don't even know where I got this, but I didn't make it. The reason this has no pins is because when I have little tiny pieces of, like a little berry or something of wool, I will pin it to this side so that I don't lose it. This one I did make. And this just the pineapple and then the little pennies. That's fun. A friend made this for me. For a while, we were all collecting cigar boxes. Now, this one, she did the blanket stitch. Patty, you did a beautiful job. And that's mounted on top of where I keep some wool threads and Valdanis and that kind of thing. And then this wool thing I made, years ago. This was the Girl Club through the quilt store, Jan Paddock wool applique. It actually has a little hole here because evidently a little vermin or creature got into it. And you know, you don't have to use, what did we all used to use to protect our wool? Whatever it was, it stunk. And every year when you'd get out your winter things, it was mothballs. Ugh. But you can use lavender. And I buy lavender from Peace Creek Lavender Farm. And you can buy dry lavender and just put it in a sachet bag and put it with all your wools, and you won't have any problems with vermin or varmints or bugs or whatever. This is a quilt runner that I just finished quilting yesterday. It has stars in wool, but I need to finish sewing down the binding. I think this was a Primitive Gatherings piece. This is cotton, but the black circles and this are wool. And this I did actually wool applique on my sewing machine. So that came out good too. This is a pillow I've shown before. This sits on our bed. This was another class I took at the gathering. I think this was a design by Lynn Hosford, and it was in one of the Needle Love books, which were books put out by Renee Nanneman. Here's another wool thing that I have hanging in my sewing room with the willow trees. It's not quilted. It's just, it's just backed. It does have some batting in it. I love it. So those are some of my wool things that I've done and am looking forward to doing the project. Now I'm going to show you a few mini quilts that I've made over the years. I used to belong to Temecula Quilt Company's, getting hot, it's Florida. I'm glistening, glowing. Not sweating. That's what men do. We glisten, okay? Temecula, they had a monthly mini, and I finished this one this week. This measures like 12 by 15. And yes, those are 3/4 inch finished half square triangles. They're not perfect. My points aren't perfect, but they're close enough for government work, as Laura says. Anyway, finish that. Now, what do I do with all these? I love to hang them on the walls. Sometimes I'll have one hanging over here. I have an old-fashioned drying rack. Let's see if I can show that. Oh, something came unplugged. I better not do that. Uh-oh, I'm going to be in a big trouble. Oh well, I'm almost done, so I'm in a hurry. This one. This was a kit from Country Sampler that I did. This one's a little bigger. This was another one of I think this was a mini monthly club piece, but it could have been just pieces. Sometimes I'll just take leftover pieces and sew them together. This was part of the monthly minis by Temecula. This one, the spools. These are all like reproduction fabrics. This one I made up. These are just churn dash blocks. This one, this is just a white on white that I hand quilted. Yeah, this is the front. I used to teach hand quilting years ago. I don't even hand quilt anymore. My fingers can't handle it. This is one that I made from scraps from that other one. Just half square triangles. These are just little 4-patch blocks. Monthly minis. This one is little, kind of sideways. I have this hanging on a quilt hanger. Then I have to remember where I took these from. This is another one of the monthly minis, little hourglass blocks. Pink and brown is a reproduction. Here's another one. Spools. Here's another one. This was just scraps I put together. And the last one I'll show you. Some of these have been folded up, so they're kind of need to be rejuvenated in the dryer. I think that's all I have to show you. So this video is not quite an hour. I must have talked fast. Let me look really quick at my notes because I want to make sure I covered everything, and I believe I did. So I hope y'all are going to have a good weekend. If you're participating in 24 hours of cross stitch with Jen of Quirks and Stitches, I hope you get a lot of stitching done. My favorite part of this whole thing is to watch their after video, and you can watch and see how much more tired and silly they get each interval. It's just great. I just love it. Her and her mom have a great connection. So anyway, I hope you all have a good weekend, and we're supposed to have tornadoes tonight. It's beautiful sunny right now, but by tonight it's supposed to be stormy. I talked to my daughter yesterday, and she and her husband took the kids to their complex has a pool. I said, wasn't it pretty cold? And she's like, yeah, it was cold. She said, I didn't get in, but the kids and her husband got in. And so then I talked to Camille, and I said, was it cold? She said, well, once you swim around, you warm up, Grammy. Oh, yeah. Okay, I forgot that. Did you have blue lips? Uh-huh. Oh, my. Even in Florida, middle of April is a little early I guess it's close to the end of April. So anyway, hope you have a good weekend and get a lot of stitching done. Love ya. Bye.